Are you tired of playing by the rules? Tired of doing what you're supposed to when all you really want to do is burn the damn rule book and start fresh? I get it. I've done it more than once. And let me tell you, freedom tastes better than approval ever could. Welcome to Her Gypsy Rebel, the podcast for those who crave more creativity, more space, more of your own damn life on your own terms. I am Jacqueline Van Bierk, aka Pink Star, a musician, artist, traveler, and professional rule breaker, bringing you real, unfiltered conversations about reinvention, confidence, and making space for what actually matters. So grab a coffee, a tea, something a little stronger, because this is where the rebellion begins. Hello and welcome back to Her Gypsy Rebel podcast with your host, Jacqueline Van Bierk. How are you guys doing? I hope you had an amazing, fantastic week. It's the end of February. Time is flying. I hope you're having fun. Speaking of fun, today's guest, Jennifer Liss, is so fun and such a baddie and such a rebel. Jennifer teaches people to fuck around and get paid. I mean, who doesn't want to do that? So with no further ado, let's get straight into our conversation. Hello, Jennifer. I am so excited to have you on the show. You are such a badass unicorn. And we met a while ago in Kathy Heller's community. I've met so many amazing, beautiful people in there, and you're definitely one of them. And you're also so inspiring to me because you really are a rebel. You're really living life on your own terms, and I love that. And you're having so much fun with it, and I'm all about that. So I would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience. How did you get to where you are now? I always find it so interesting how people end up in a place where it's just so freeing and so fulfilling, but it didn't start there, right? Like at some point, maybe you dreamed it up as a kid, like to be that. But when did you realize, this is what I want to do? Because you have this amazing community and this amazing work that you do, fuck around, get paid. And I think it's so cool because it's like money is something most people struggle with. When I think about society and the world we live in, everybody's just always the biggest thing is money, always money, money. And when did we make it so hard? I don't know. But I would love to talk to you about that maybe later. But just tell us who you are and how did you get to where you are now?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on. And I'll just start by saying unicorns see unicorns. I think that there are some of us who are we're unique, and there is that rebellious spirit that is within us. And we definitely see each other, out there in the world, like, oh, there's somebody who has freed themselves to do it differently than everybody else is doing it, and we will see each other and we inspire each other. And so you're definitely one of those people and have long been, and so am I. And I remember from the time I was a child, I was the kid. My mom called it obstinate, and maybe it is a little bit, but if somebody thought that I should be doing it one way, I wanted to do it the other way. Yes. And it's just the way that it has always been. It's like, oh, you think that I remember my grandma saying, oh, you love the color purple. And I said, no, I don't. I like the color forest green. And I just decided that day that my favorite color was going to be forest green simply because it was expected of me to want it one way. And so that has been how I have lived a lot of my life, is in a little bit of that rebellious spirit. But I get trapped just like everybody else. It's like I get trapped in my own rebellion, and it's like, oh wait, why am I doing that in the first place? That's been a lot of my journey, is figuring out, okay, who am I and what actually is the motivation behind why I do things differently. And so that journey back to my intuition has most certainly been a long one. But at the same time, what I've realized throughout my life is that my intuition was always the thing that's been guiding me. And it's that thing that's had that little bit of a rebellious spirit. I remember when I was in kindergarten, there's that whole question of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I had a very clear response to that, which was, I want to be a hairstylist. But my mom said, no, you don't. Because she had aunts who did hair and all they did was complain about their job, which I understand that logically now, but at the time it was very crushing to me. And so I spent a lot of my young life really thinking that what I wanted was wrong or what I wanted was bad, because even though I wanted to do that thing, it felt very natural to me. I was always cutting my Barbie's hair. And
So
I
was
was
I.
always wanting to play with my sister's hair. I did my sister's hair all of the time. I had three sisters growing up, and I just loved to do it. But there was part of me that felt like there was something wrong with me, that's what I wanted to do, because my mom would say, you don't want to do that job. That's a waste of your intelligence. But I did rebel after high school. I went to college for 2 years, and then I went and I became a hairstylist. That's not my career anymore. And we can dive into all of that. But I think that a lot of us, it's like we want things and then we get told that it's not the thing that we want, and then we get off path.
Yeah.
And so my concept of fuck around and get paid is really rooted in that you get to do the thing that you love to do and you get to get paid for it.
Oh my God, I love that. It's so funny that you say that. And we are definitely so much alike because as a kid, I did my aunt's hair all the time and she loved it. She was like, "Oh, Jacqueline, can you come and make my hair?" And did a makeup and I would tell her stories about, my rich husband, how he's an artist. But I grew up in East Germany, so I could not, the position was not available. So that so resonated with me because that made sense because I was always told from an early age, you can't do that. It's not for you. It's not available for you. Interesting. I love that so much. Um, when you say fuck around and get paid, I think a lot of people would say, yeah, that's easy for you to say, right? I love people like that. They always like to debunk things. It's like, what would you say to someone that is just so resistant towards it? Because obviously it's our programming in a way, right? But what would you tell them to kind of, because you also do somatic work, you do the breath work, which I think is so important. And thanks to you, I actually incorporated that into my declutter thing because I think it's just everybody should do that before they do anything else. What would you say to someone like that who's just like shut down from the start?
I would say I get it, because my learning of this message was hard earned. And I
Mm-hmm.
definitely did not grow up with this mentality at all. I definitely grew up with a mentality of you've got to work hard. You've actually got to hate your job. And, maybe if you work hard enough and you hate your job enough, maybe at some point in your life, you will earn the right to retire and then love life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I learned. It was work hard, get paid, and then maybe for a small portion of your very elderly life, you
Mm-hmm.
can fuck around. That's what I learned. But in my journey, so I burned out in the hair career. Like I worked so hard. I had a busy clientele. It was more than a six-figure job. I just by myself doing hair, I was making six figures, which where I grew up when
It's
that was
amazing.
a big deal. Like I was working my tail off. But I burned out and I went back to school. I did go finish that degree that I started before I went to hair school, and I started working in marketing. Well, I found myself burning out again. And I was like, okay, something's going on, that I did it in this career. I totally left that career. It's like rebel, right? I left that career. I just dropped all my clients,
Mm-hmm.
I gave them to all my friends and I went back to school. But I hit burnout again in that career. And I was like, okay, what's going on? I hired a coach because I was like, I don't know what to do. This lady just like somehow floats into my life through a podcast. And I hire her and I'm working with her. And she said, Jen, how much fun are you having at work every day? And I said, none. I hate this job. She's like, okay, yes, I get that. And here's your homework is to go to work tomorrow. And I want you to look around and I want you to ask yourself what looks fun. And I said, nothing will look fun. I can tell you that this job sucks. I hate it. I'm burnt out. And she's like, I know, just give it a try. And I'm like, okay, fine. I paid this lady $3,000. I'm just going to do what she says. So I show up to work and I'm looking around and everything looks terrible. I'm like, I'm naming plastics, the lids on top of a like yogurt at
Yeah.
this grocery
Yeah.
store. I'm naming the plastic. That's my
Okay.
job
Oh
for the
God.
day. I'm like, this is terrible. This is this is not what I want to be doing. I'm naming polypropylene plastic. Horrible. I look at my other coworker, she's clipping her nails. I'm like, horrible. Why are you clipping your nails in the office? My other coworker is like smacking his lips, eating his breakfast. I'm like,
Oh my
this is
God.
hell.
Oh
This
my
is not
God.
fun. But I turn around and I look at my boss and I'm like, hey, Chad, what's that project? What are you working on? He's like, oh my gosh, it's this horrible project. You don't want anything to do with it. And I was like, but tell me more. That looks interesting. Turns out it was an employee development project working with our talent development team who I'd never worked with before. And I was like, can I come to your next meeting? Something about that struck me as fun. There was something in it. And so I go to that meeting and then I go to the next meeting and I go to the next meeting and I'm getting so into this project that he hated. He was like, "Can you just take this over, Jen? I don't want to do it. You seem to be liking it." That ultimately led me down a rabbit hole of developing a program that was developing employees, something I'd never done before. I was a copywriter, but I started working with the talent development team. I loved it. I ended up leaving that job for a double pay job at another company doing that similar work, literally more than double. Actually, I asked for a certain amount. They paid me $10,000 more than that. Wow. Even like I had this experience, Jacqueline, of like, one day I'm getting paid this. The next day I'm the same person. Nothing about me had changed day to day. I'm now getting paid this by following my fun, by me sitting down, the whole thing that had led me there. And that was just like this whole concept of fuck around and get paid just dropped into my being. Like, I had fun and now I'm getting paid more. That's so different than anything that I've ever experienced. And so the entire concept is, when we actually flip the script, you actually can and release the how of how that happens. I could have never written that story. I could have never imagined myself going into talent development at that time and now into coaching, which is what the work that I do now. I would have never written this path, but it came through me just saying what sounds fun today.
Oh, I love that. I think it's also so interesting when, you know, people like me and you, but more like for me, like right now, where I feel like, okay, I might have to get a job to just like have some stability, right? But then I'm thinking, I want what you were saying, I want something that is fun and where I can learn something. Because, if you work for McDonald's, there's not much you can learn. What are you going to learn? You know what I mean? It's a very mundane kind of job that doesn't pay much. But if you have a job that is actually challenging, or like you learned marketing, then to me that makes kind of sense. And then to find the thing that's actually fun about it, I could feel like the shift when you said that. I could see myself, or even people going like, oh, what a different just mindset. Because people, and I guess we're all trained that way, to just like look for the bad, look for what's wrong with things, instead of like, okay, even weather, if it's a shitty shitty weather day, like, okay, how could I make this day fun? Like, let's dance in the rain, let's play in the snow. It doesn't have to be, yeah, wear more clothes, but it doesn't have to be, ugh, it's a shitty day out, it's raining. There's so much beauty in everything. I don't know, it just sounds woo woo to some people, but I feel like when you have that mindset, it's just so much easier to go through life, you know?
Yeah, we don't realize how trained we are to see things through the perspective of it's hard and it sucks. But
Hmm.
we are trained from that perspective. And I just want to let everybody know, like, it's not your fault. We
Yeah,
are we are
true.
actually trained because your parents were trained, because your parents' parents were trained, because all of human existence has been trained to look for the scary thing, look for the hard thing, look for the tiger that could be jumping out of the bush. That's where our brains are trained. But what we know with neuroplasticity is that we can switch what we're looking for. You can start to look for the fun. You can start to look for the joy. You can start to notice, oh, it's raining today. Oh, I get to stay in and have a cozy day. Oh, it's raining today. Oh, what would it feel like to actually go feel those raindrops on my skin? I have a friend who loves when it rains. She goes outside and dances in the rain, literally. And I thought that was crazy for the first few times she told me that. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, my hair would be a bush if I went and danced in the rain. But I tried it one time and was like, I see why she loves this. I'm probably not going to keep doing it, but I do now see. But we just don't even allow ourselves to try new perspectives on. So that's been a big part of my journey. The past 10 years has been really trying on new perspectives, because if the perspective that you have is currently leading you to burnout, not the money that you want to be making, not the fun that you want to be having in your day-to-day life, then why not try on a different way of doing things? Why not try on a different way of thinking and see how that does for you? Again, if you're spending, I was like, well, I spent $3,000 with this lady, so I guess I better do what she says. But you're spending your time, you're spending your energy, you're spending this very precious time that you have on earth every day focusing on the suck instead of focusing on what could bring you joy.
Yeah. I also think that it's so important to spend money on bettering your life and finding a mentor. When I joined Kathy, I've been in her community before, and the biggest mistake I made was I took the course, but I was never active in the community. I would not even engage with anything and anybody. And that what you put in is what you get out. And I think sometimes what we think we put in is like, do, do, do. That's so me. Like, and I know many people are like that, busy, 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 push, force, right? And that it burns you out. And then you feel, oh my God, what have I accomplished? I'm working so hard. And all your friends think they celebrate you. They go, oh my God, you're such a go-getter. But you keep doing the same thing. It doesn't get you any results. How important would you say is it to actually do less and spend more time? I just listened to something yesterday with Warren Buffett, and he said you should make it a mandatory thing or like a non-negotiable every day to spend half an hour in silence, to not do anything because we all, and I used to, even like when I do my yoga, sometimes I feel, oh my God, I don't have time for this. I have so many things to do. And my mind goes, and I'm like, this is exactly what I need to calm down because we're so overstimulated. What would you say to someone that is just so overwhelmed and is trying so many different things? And again, like just focusing on all the bad stuff, but how can we calm ourselves down and how important is it to slow down, to
Yeah,
speed
I love
up?
this question so much in this conversation about slowing down and doing less. For people who have been doers our entire lives and actually love the feeling of being productive, that we don't realize what an addiction that is to the productivity and the little dopamine hits that we're getting off of that. So slowing down can actually be incredibly painful and difficult. And like you said, I'll have strange cravings. I always tell this story where when I go do yin yoga, have you ever done yin yoga? The slow, it's not like flow yoga. It's you're sitting in the same pose for
No.
5 minutes.
Oh no. Oh my God.
Same pose 5 minutes and doing nothing but just sitting in that pose. And some yin yogi teachers even have you in silence. So it's in silence, just sitting in the same pose. And then you'll do the other side. And to me, that is so much more difficult than it is to go through a hard, sweaty
Oh
flow
yeah.
yoga class. And the weird thing that I noticed is that I would get these cravings for Taco Bell. I'm
Hmm.
like in the middle of yin yoga. Every time I would do a yin yoga class, I'm like, I have this insane craving for a taco from Taco Bell. And what I began to notice is that when I really dropped in and got quiet, the craving for some kind of dopamine hit, like quick,
Oh,
easy dopamine would be so powerful.
yes.
And it came to me in the form of Taco Bell. Like, so for any of us, we can just have so much compassion for ourselves that that's what's happening. It's like when you slow down, it's like Taco Bell. It's like this craving for something that's really not good for you, but it feels like it's going to get you there. And so Taco Bell for you could be go check your phone. Taco Bell for you could be go knock a task off the to-do list. It could be just do something, go say something to a coworker that you know they're going to say something back so that it feels like I did something and got a reward. So we
Yeah.
have these cravings and this addiction to it, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily getting you what you really desire. It's getting you the dopamine, but it's not getting you to your end goal. So slowing down really starts with recognizing what is it that I really want? Like, what is it that I really want? And beginning to put your desire and giving it time and space, which we really aren't taught to do from childhood and school. We're taught to, like, you are bad at math, spend more time being like, getting better at math, not what were you good at in school? I'm curious. What was like were you writing
Music.
or
Yeah, music, art.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
strengths.
And those are extracurricular type of things. It's not like double down for most of us. It's not like go double down on the thing that you're good at,
Yeah.
double down on the thing that you're not necessarily good at so that you can get better, which is great and wonderful. But then we get an addiction to the feeling of like the dopamine that we get when we finally get done with the hard thing, as opposed to focusing on the thing that you really love doing and getting rewards from that. So because of that, there's a lot of retraining to do when I talk about to business owners and help them to reprioritize joy as their strategy. It's really understanding that the things that come easy to you is the place to lean in instead of continuing to lean in the places that you're hard. I'm like, girl, you're good at that. You're very good at doing the hard thing. You're very good at doing a lot of things. Let's train ourselves to do less, to do the easy thing, to let it flow for you instead of you feeling like you have to continuously earn the reward of dopamine hits.
Mm. You know, when I did my Kundalini this morning, I like teaching it. Not that I'm out there teaching, but I could. Yeah, I've done the teacher training. So I was like, but I like to be guided. So I took this class today online, and it was all meditation. And I'm like, what? I was ready to just sweat and do a thing. And I'm like, the universe wants me to do this. And I could feel it. I wanted to grab my phone. I had ideas on what I want to post later. And I'm like, oh my God, the mind is so, so busy. It's crazy. And I like what you said about the dopamine hit because and addiction, right? Because we're all addicted to something. And I think that if we are addicted to, yesterday I had a beer. And I keep saying, and not that I'm addicted to it, but kept saying, you know what? Every time I have this beer, I have a headache. And I woke up with a big headache. I'm like, why do I keep doing this? Right. And so now I'm like, okay, this is the wrong approach to me getting rid of this wanting. Sometimes I feel like, oh, I have pizza and I want a wine or I want a beer. And there's nothing wrong with it. But for me, I know certain things don't work for me anymore. But I keep doing them because we all do it, right? I'm like, so where did this whole idea come from and how can I stop this? Not from just saying, because the willpower, I think, is bullshit, right? Willpower is like, it doesn't work. We have to have a reason behind it. Like, okay, it's just not good for me. It's not good for me. It's not good for my health. And if I get a headache, why would I keep doing that? As a kid, I used to get like shit faced all the time and I would get so sick and I would, and then you say, I never drink again. And I did it again. Like, oh my God. So yeah, that's like my little what I'm trying to get rid of. And what else did you say that now I forget. I lost my train of thought about that, but it's just so interesting how we are wired and it's so hard. Oh, with a desire. You know, I've been thinking about this as of late. I'm like, I want to do my music and it's my studio's right here and I keep avoiding it. So I actually went to ChatGPT. I had a deep conversation with ChatGPT because I was like, I don't even know what I want anymore. And I think that a lot of people can relate to that because at some point, maybe something didn't work out the way we thought, which it never really does. And ChatGPT gave me a really, because I said, be brutally honest with me. Don't sugarcoat it because it likes to sugarcoat things, right? It's like, oh, there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with
ChatGPT
you.
is quite the yes man.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're so fine. Don't worry about it. It's normal. You're not the only one. I'm like, no, be brutally honest. What the hell is wrong with me? Why am I not, And it brought up some interesting points. It said, well, you probably got disappointed and you don't want to be seen, even though you do want to be seen, but you don't want to be seen, and or maybe people will not like what you're creating now because you're not the same person anymore. It was just really deep. I actually got like teary-eyed. I'm like, oh my God, you're so right. You know, because you're right, we don't give ourselves the time. I can feel myself doing that too. I don't give myself the time to really go, you know what? Until I know what I really want, because I don't really know anymore other than just I want to be out in nature and enjoy nature, which brings me so much like, it just, I don't know. It just makes me feel so connected, but not forcing things, like you said, instead of just what is fun, what feels like joy and giving ourselves that time because we don't do that in today's world. Everything is go, 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 go. The new trend, try this, try that. And I'm so guilty of that too. It's crazy, not
Yeah.
knowing. So I want to give myself time to figure out what do I really want? I don't know right now. And that's okay if I don't know.
Yeah, it absolutely is okay to be in the I don't know. And I think that in this world right now, we can instantly find out anything. And so much of our creative process is allowing ourselves to go into the unknown, to not know, to be okay, like you said, with not knowing. We make ourselves wrong all the time. And that instantly, when we make ourselves wrong, when we judge ourselves, when we feel like, even you're like, even though I love music, I'm not doing it. Why am I not doing this? And so then we're demonizing ourselves. When we do that, our system automatically goes into dysregulation. We're dysregulated all the time. And so a lot of the work that I do is helping people go in and actually simply be okay with life exactly as it is. Be okay with the way that it is. And when we get into that level of radical acceptance that this is what it is, this is the current scenario, then we come into regulation and realize that we actually have choice in our day-to-day actions. And then we can get to the point of, well, what do I actually want? And joy, all of this joy talk can seem very light. And I even recognize fully that to most adults, fun is their least favorite F word. I know that this is true. When
That is so
it's like
crazy.
people tell you to go have fun, you're like, whatever, that it feels like a deprioritization. It doesn't really matter. It feels light and fluffy, feels like that's for kids. But the truth is that when we don't know what we want, we are disconnected from source, because your desire, what you want, your wants are connected to that is your divine direction. And joy is an expression from source. Joy is an expression of love. It is an expression of your truth. So things that are fun for you, things that are enjoyable for you. So for example, we'll just use this as an example because you said it, music. Music is a very natural, innate. When you were a kid, you said these are the classes that I loved. It was music, it was art, it was that 100% your divine direction that you have followed in most of your life, right? Like it's something that has continued to follow you, but there's resistance that's happening in that space. So there's a motivation that's not coming from pure source. There's a motivation that's coming out sideways from something. There's some kind of you're getting the dopamine, but you're getting it in some kind of roundabout way. All of us have these. Every single person on the planet has these things, and we tend to have them really around the things that we love, because there's not a pure connection to that source. And so the purer we can get that connection, the more powerful it can be. So I like to ask people 3 questions. And the first question is, what do you want? Why do you want it? And what will you feel when you get there? So we could do this for example, what do you want? I want to be a musician. Well, why do you want it? Because I want to be able to sing on stage, and I want to be able to travel the world. Well, what are you going to feel when you get that? What's that going to feel like in your body? And the most important part of this is what are you going to feel when you get it? Because my clients, the very first thing I do with them is every single day we create what's called an expansion ritual. You tune into that every single day, because that's your divine direction. It comes directly from your desire, comes directly from your want. You understand the why. You know what it's going to feel like when you get there. Now we're into joy expansion, and now your life can start to be led from your actual desire, from your actual soul, direct from source. And that's where life really starts to expand in really radical, cool ways. That question of what feels fun today is a roundabout way of getting there too, for those who are not connected to some of these practices too. So it's all coming back to what is fun for you is literally the direction of your soul, because it's an expression of love. And it always will be. You can trust your joy so much more than your system is telling you. You just probably haven't learned that that's a safe thing to follow.
So true, because we almost feel guilty. I mean, I can't believe that people are actually resisting joy and or fun in general, because I think that, I mean, I don't know, I feel I'm like a 5-year-old, I'm like, just being out in age. I know
It's
my
so
mom.
obvious about you that you have that lightness.
My mom is always like, "What are you doing? You're doing cartwheels." I'm like, "Mom, you should." No, she probably shouldn't try it now, but like, I'm like, "Yeah, it's so fun." I don't know, or like playing, rolling in the snow. It's just people forget that, or adults. At some point, we are told we have to be adults. What does that even mean, right? Responsible, and it's this inner child wants to play, and we should allow our inner child to play. And I think for me, I can see this when you said that. First of all, I love that so much, because then how does it feel, right? The minute you said that, I'm like, connection. When you're on stage and you're connecting with the crowd, and when they connect with your words and your music, that is like the ultimate high to me. Like, whereas, yes, you because I think maybe sometimes people think that what they have to offer, or they say, I'm not creative, I don't know what my gifts are. And tapping into that, because everybody has a gift. We all came here for a reason, and it may not be as gigantic as Tony Robbins or whatever, someone that is has a big household name, it doesn't matter. Because even just like going in a park to me and smiling at a stranger, that is a gift. Not everybody has that, but what you give to the other person could just be you just made that day. Because maybe they had a shitty day and like, oh, I was seen. Somebody saw me. Somebody smiled at me. I think that is just, I love doing that. And I feel stupid sometimes for even doing that. I just walk around with a big smile on my face. I'm like, what's wrong with me? I just love, I just love being out and about. It just, that makes me happy. And for the longest time, I just didn't like that about myself. I was like, oh God, why am I always smiling? I was like, hi, what? Even my boyfriend is like, why you always have to talk to everybody and be like, I'm like, because they want to talk. Maybe that people are lonely. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't have anyone to talk to. So if somebody, even if it feels odd and weird, I mean, unless they're really being strange, where you feel threatened, but otherwise, just have that conversation with someone. What's 5 minutes of your time to make
Yeah.
someone feel
But so
seen?
many people, Jacqueline, don't see that is their gift. Like that is your gift, that gift of connection. It is your gift. If I may share something that could deepen
Yes.
this, and this is for anybody listening to whatever your thing is. So for you, it's like, oh my gosh, when I'm on stage, like there is this connection and you've been doing this work. So you know that connecting with other people it's that same thing. It doesn't matter where you are, you have the gift of connection. So the thing is though, as human beings, we think that we need to get it that way. And that's actually what limits us, is that we think that the connection actually is happening between you and another person, which it is, but that's how you're sourcing it for yourself. And so the big unlock is when you source it within yourself and not sourcing it through other people. So when you
Mm.
recognize that you are always connected, you cannot not be connected. You don't need other people to help you to feel connected. When you fully recognize and untether and recognize that you are actually connection itself because you are life itself, you are made of all of the things. Like there's no way that you could ever not be connected.
Yeah.
And when we really realize that and get with that and tune into the vibration of that every day for you, that's your thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you become such a clear channel of connection.
Mm.
Simply you moving through the world, you're already a pretty clear channel. But the more that you tune into that at an even deeper level every single day, you become connection itself. People automatically plug in just by you moving through the world. You are the connection. You help them to see how connected they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they recognize it in themselves. You become a mirror to other people of how connected they are. And that's where things amplify. That's where magnetism really, really happens. I would guess I have a quiz that helps people to understand their magnetic archetype. Have you taken it?
No.
Okay. Well, you'll have to take it and see which one you are, because I would love to hear what comes up for you. Because we all have this natural magnetic nature, but we don't realize that that's what it is. And we especially don't realize that the way that we actually amplify that magnetism is by recognizing that it's what we already are. That's what we are.
Mm.
And we don't need to source it from somewhere else. We don't need to give it to anybody else. Us simply being that helps others see it inside of themselves, and then they magnify that instantaneously. So it's not an energy take and suck and give. It's actually energy resonating with energy,
Mm.
amplifying the energetic field.
Oh, I love that. I love that you bring up energy because when I think of the world we are currently in and people are getting so bummed out about what's going on, in the news and stuff. And I always say, you don't have to participate. You don't have to read the files. You don't have to engage in everything or get so outraged and everything. And as a kid, I used to really love politics and I wanted to get into politics until I realized how crazy it is and how corrupt it is. And I'm like, I could never survive in this field. When you disconnect from that, I think that's when your connection comes in because so much is on the outside world. We always talk about the nervous system that we can't even handle. We already can't handle what's going on within our own realities. The hustle, like so many people live in survival mode. They just constant in this constant state of, I got to make ends meet, and it's just so exhausting. And then you add on top of that all the political stuff and people being so divided. I'm like, stop. Just shut it all off. We are all so connected and we are so much more alike than we think. We're just being so like puppet strings. We're just being so played to believe that you're bad, because you believe that and you do that. When in reality, is this is so superficial. It's not even so above all the BS. Like, I mean, above meaning so unimportant, do you agree with that? Where people just get so sucked into this that they don't even, it has nothing to do with the actual life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately we resonate. We're resonating machines. All of energy resonates. So if we're spending a lot of time in those low, slow vibrations, we're actually amplifying the field of that. And I'm not into spiritual bypassing at all. I think that all of it exists. All of it is
Hmm.
here. And most certainly we
Yes.
don't have to ignore that there are things that are happening in the world that are not, but simultaneously consciously choosing what is it that you desire to amplify, because we get choice. And the more that you amplify the energy that you desire for this world to be operating in, the more it actually reveals the darkness. I think we're seeing the darkness right now because the field is amplified. And so it's making it very obvious the things that do not fit anymore. And so it's by design that we're seeing all of that stuff begin to get revealed. It's definitely 100% by design and also astrological timing that this was predicted that so
Yes.
much of this would be happening right now. So none of it, if you really look at all of that, none of that is a surprise. And so that I think helps you to not get pulled into it, because it's like, oh, okay, yes, that exists. Yes, it's fucking horrible and it's really hard to look at. But that doesn't mean that you need to go get pulled in and resonate at that frequency, which is
Yeah.
what a lot of people are doing right now. And that does not necessarily help you as a human being. Is that helping you in your day to day to create the life that you desire? Probably not. And most people would say, logically, no, probably not. That's not helping me. Recognize that that doesn't mean that you have to. It's not like we have to be all love and light, because the existence of humanness is not all love and light. Like, it all exists. So to me, it's more about being okay that all is exactly what it is, and recognizing that we have choice to change that
Yeah.
moving forward.
I agree. And we're all energy. And I always like to point out that, it's the energy you put out is what you get back. So if you really focus on the darkness, and there has to be darkness in order for us to see the light. And I think sometimes, just like anything, going through difficult times will lead to eventually the light. And I would you like to share a little bit about what you and your husband went through, because I think it's a perfect example of that, where sometimes there's friction. I think friction is part of life for us to grow and to learn and to expand. It's our ability to deal with it, to also not come from a place of blaming. It's so easy for people in relationships, especially, to blame the other person. A never ending cycle that is not getting anything solved. But I love your story where you just almost ended your relationship, or not ending, but you set some boundaries, some
Oh,
healthy
we ended it.
boundaries. Oh, you did. Oh, you did end it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, when you took that trip, and I love that, because when you set boundaries, then life just happens for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So this might be hard for some people to hear and even accept, because it was extremely hard and confronting for me to hear and me to accept, but it ultimately was my path to freedom. Whenever you are blaming another person, you're making yourself a victim.
Mm-hmm.
You're a victim of life. And we make ourselves a victim of life constantly in so many teeny tiny itty bitty ways. And I was at a retreat last March. So my husband had gone down, really since COVID, a rabbit hole of increasing drinking. And it was to the point that I was like, he's killing himself. And I went to this retreat, and he was trying to get better, but it wasn't getting better. And so I went to this retreat, and when at the retreat, I had this realization, wow, I'm being a victim of this circumstance, because I'm allowing it to continue. So I'm allowing myself to continue to live in it. And even though, yes, he's trying to get better, it's not happening. And I said, I'm just not going to tolerate this anymore. So I got back from the retreat and I said, one of us is moving out. This isn't working anymore. It's not happening. As soon as I said, I am not tolerating this anymore, we were trying to figure out, like, okay, do you move out? Do I move out? Whatever. Like a lightning bolt, the idea, I'm just going to go travel. Like, you stay here. You can just stay here. I'm going to go travel. So within 2 weeks, I had packed my bags and I went for months and I said, I'll see you in June. I went for
I love
months.
that.
And what happened was the most miraculous thing. I was just like, it's over. We've been married 19 years since high school. And I was like, this is just, it's not happening anymore. I'm not tolerating it. I refuse to be a victim of this circumstance anymore. I'm going. I freed myself to do something I had wanted to do forever, to just go travel. And I just did it by myself and I had the best time. The worst thing that I dealt with the entire time was my own guilt over having so much fun, being by myself, traveling. It was great. It was awesome. I loved it and I was free. I had freed myself to do what I really wanted to do. And here's the miracle that happened is that, we weren't really talking, he and I, very much, but he'd occasionally send me a picture of the dog that we have, Alfred. But there was something that happened about a month and a half in where I just noticed something was different about him. Something had changed, something had shifted. And then it seemed to just get more and more and more so. And I was ending this travel. I have a retreat that I host every year in St. Martin. I was ending it in St. Martin. And I had this thought one day, like, I should ask him to meet me in St. Martin. And then it stuck with me for another week. And I finally messaged him and said, come meet me there. And I kid you not, he arrived an entirely different person, completely different person. Like, from the time that I left in March until June, he was a whole different human being. And what we both realized had happened was that I chose me. And that gave him the opportunity to decide if he wanted to choose himself. But as long as we were living in this victim, both of us making ourselves the victim of circumstance in so many different ways, as long as we stayed in that situation of codependency is ultimately what it was. But as long as we stayed in that situation, we were never, either of us, going to get better. So our new motto in our relationship is, I choose me and then I choose us. It's me and then us. It's not us and then me. It's me and then us. And if that changes, then that's fine. And if at some point if the us doesn't feel like it's part of this equation, that's okay. We're completely untethered from it having to be any kind of certain way, other than I come first for myself and he comes first for himself. And it has changed everything.
Oh, I love that. I can feel that with the codependency because I overstayed all my relationships. And it's always, there comes this point where you just don't communicate anymore. And you also so rely on the other person to make you happy. And it's not their responsibility.
And it's
In
not your
life,
responsibility to make them happy
no.
either.
And we think that, it's how often do we do that? Or we just like, oh my God, I have to start a conversation because there's silence, instead of just sitting in the silence and allowing the silence, because we're still energy. We can feel the energy. That is such a great story. And now you guys have a podcast, which is awesome. Share about that and let us know where people can find you.
Yeah. So Fuck Around and Get Paid is the podcast, and you can find us there. You can look on jenliss.com. You can find the link to it very easily. So that's the best way to get connected.
Awesome. And I have to ask you, what is one of your favorite drinks? Like, so it's funny. I have my coffee here, then I have my my smoothie, and I have a water on my desk.
I call that strong bevy game. You've got strong beverage game hanging out on your desk.
Because
and I love that question. I'm a coffee drinker through and through. When I was a child, I was 10 years old when my mom was finally like, okay, you can have coffee every day, because I would ask her every single day from the time I was very little, can I have a sip of your coffee? Can I have a sip of your coffee? Can I have a sip of your coffee? Finally at 10, for my 10th birthday, she said, you can have your own half cup of coffee. And I haven't quit since.
Black or creamer or?
I just drink it black,
Oh,
but
wow.
I do love a latte. You know, I live in
Yes.
Portland, Oregon, where
Mm,
we have got the best coffee scene in the world up here in the Pacific Northwest. So I love a really good
mm,
latte, but I just drink it black at home.
nice. What is one of your pet peeves or your biggest pet peeve if you have one?
Oh my gosh. I can't handle oral noises, like people
Really?
chewing. I can't.
It's,
I can't.
yeah.
Yeah, if I hear my husband chew, it's like it's something I have attempted to work on and I have gotten better because there's obviously an internal trigger. I get so mad. It's actual rage that boils in my body when I hear the sound of somebody chewing. So I'm sure that I could get a little bit more therapy on that, but one thing at a time.
You know, I got into ASMR a while ago, and now I actually like it, but not when somebody does it here. I like when I watch someone else doing it or if I do it. But my dog, he likes to lick himself, and I swear to God, he's like, I mean, it's like the loudest, like slurpiest. I'm like,
Can't.
bald, stop. And it makes me like you, I get really angry about it. I'm like, oh my God, it's not his fault. He's itchy, you know? But I'm like, oh my God, why? Why?
I
Oh
feel
my
you.
God. What is your to kind of sum it all up, what is something that you do, like your daily ritual that you feel is like a non-negotiable for you?
Absolute non-negotiable is tuning into my joy every single morning, tuning into what for you might be connection. For me, it is I tune into I'm excited, the feeling of excitement, and I feel it until I feel it actively in my body. It's a somatic practice of activating the energy of excitement and wow every single day. And that's part of my expansion ritual that I do. I think it's the most powerful thing that anybody can do every single day. And it takes less than a minute.
Oh, I love that. I took a self-help seminar a long time ago. It was called PSI seminar, people synergetically involved or integrated. um and they had this thing that throughout the day you jump up and down like 3 times and you say, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited. And it's so funny because it seems so stupid, but when you're done with it, you feel so freaking pumped up. So I love that thank you for reminding me. I should start doing that again. I love that. You're such a light.
Yes.
Oh
I
my God.
think
I love you so much. What were
I
you gonna
love it.
say?
I
What
love
were you
it. What
gonna
I will say is that everybody's joy is not the same. So while I could say, jump up and do excited, that might not be
Yeah.
the perfect thing for every single person. And it can also change day to day, but excited is not a bad place to be.
For sure. And you also have a school so people can reach you there as well, right?
Yes, I have a community, and it's also all my coaching exists within there. It's called the Expansion Room. So if you're interested in learning about it, you can go to jenliss.com/expansion, or the link is obviously on my website at jenliss.com.
Awesome. And I'm going to have all the links in the show notes below. Thank you so much. This
Thank
was
you.
such an amazing conversation, and you're such a light. And I feel different. Like you have that
Ooh,
sparkly, I feel like you just sparkle some fairy dust over me.
hey, likewise.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for watching today's episode with Jennifer. I hope you had as much fun as I did and got a lot out of it. She shared so many gems about tapping into the energy, really figuring out what you desire, what you want, and also how you can empower yourself and put yourself first without it being selfish. It's just a thing that we all should be doing way more of. So if you like this episode, share it, comment. And if you would like to work with Jennifer, all the links are in the description below. And if you are ready to declutter your home, I am doing another declutter challenge. I know your time is valuable and I appreciate you for being here. Have an amazing rest of your day. As always, make every day a great day. Always follow your bliss and have fun.
You put up stone walls, I tear 'em down. Tell me not to speak. I scream, I'm a rebel, I'm a vagabond. Yeah, I dance to my own your feet high off the ground. Make yourself feel the spark. Be what you want. Are you who are you? A little crazy. Don't treat me monochrome on my own frequency. Just come with
the
me.
beat of your heart, it goes on and on. Be
Run
the light
with
in the
me.
dark, hear the sound of drums.
Can
Move your
you
feet,
feel
move your
your
feet
feet
high off the ground.
the
Make yourself,
energy?
make yourself be what you want. Feel the beat of your heart, it goes on and on. Be the light in the dark, hear the sound of drums. Move your feet, lift them up high off the ground. Make yourself feel the spark, be what you want.